Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. We've got some news and notes around the NBA to discuss. As you can see, I'm using my Lakers background today. Didn't quite have time to change it over to the NBA Front Office Show. So, podcast listeners, everything is just the same to you. But viewers, you'll have to spare me a little bit just because I didn't have a moment to switch things over. Keith, happy Halloween, man. I guess that's really where we should start with this.
Yeah, happy Halloween. And Trevor's lying. He's just back in one win by
That's
the
it.
Lakers, and he's back in front of the Lakers background again. So we know how it is. We get it. We all see.
What can
But
I'm a
yeah,
front runner. What can
yeah,
I
man.
say?
Happy Halloween. What is are you guys doing like a family costume, or do you just the kiddo, or
No,
what?
we're not doing family costumes. Just the kid is doing a costume. We're gonna walk around with her, do a little bit of trick or treating, that sort of thing. But I will say my wife did just order family Christmas costumes, and I'm regretting, or Christmas pajamas, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm regretting
Oh yeah,
saying, "Whoa, honey, whatever you want, just get anything." We will be Buddy the Elf this year, all three
nice.
of us.
We did Christmas pajamas 2 years ago that were my wife and daughter were elves and I was
Ah,
Santa. And my wife, they made cookies for Santa, obviously, when he was coming to the house that night. And she snapped a picture of me eating a cookie while in the Santa PJs. And it's like her most favorite thing in the world. And that's what I am threatened with showing up on social media on a regular basis. So, but yeah, no, all right. So enjoy the trick or treating because we got informed this year that ours is it's not her thing anymore.
oh,
She's now too cool
too
for it.
cool.
So she's super psyched to hand out stuff. And for those who are listening to this, you'll probably have already seen it if you follow me on Twitter. I will put pictures up of the pumpkins. They have spent the last couple days carving pumpkins, all Marvel pumpkins this
Oh,
year, and
I
they
want to see
look
those.
pretty awesome. Yeah, if you've seen in the years before, my wife, she is quite the expert pumpkin carver. So those will go up a little bit later tonight when it gets dark out. But yeah, let's talk some
Let's do
basketball.
it. Let's start with Bradley Beal. The Wizards off to a really nice start, 5-1 on the season, including a couple of games here with your Boston Celtics. Some that were
First time in 16 years
yeah,
that they've been five
pretty
and one.
impressive stuff
So
from
yeah,
them. They've looked good. We talked about
yep.
this on a previous show about their switching defense and how good their perimeter defenders have been doing in terms of just kind of shutting down some actions and protecting Montrezl Harrell, who's in there for Daniel Gafford. But Bradley Beal said that he wants to stay in Washington and win. Now, obviously, that's that qualifier, and win suggests that if they were
Sure.
not winning, maybe things would change there. But we know potentially heading into free agency next offseason, a lot of teams around the NBA were kind of monitoring this situation, including the Philadelphia 76ers, who were hoping to try to work out a Ben Simmons trade if Bradley Beal eventually asked out. But right now, things are going well in Washington, and it doesn't sound like Bradley Beal's preparing to go anywhere.
Yeah, you can only take these guys at face value of what they say. Is Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, both. I don't want to go
Yeah.
anywhere. Part of this too, it continues to put pressure on the organization. Get the right players around us, we'll win. And so far, that's working out pretty good in Washington. Your guy, Kyle Kuzma, the rebounding
Yeah.
machine. I didn't know he quite had that in him as far as being a rebounder. So that's good to see. And he made some big buckets last night. Celtics played their second double overtime game in 6 games. They've now played 5 overtime
Oof.
periods in their first 6 games of the season. So it's funny because there's a lot of panic in Celtics Nation right now because they're 2-4. They didn't play so well. Some of it was deserved because they started bringing up issues of not playing with effort, which is one
Mm-hmm.
scary this early in the season. Two, worrisome because that was a big storyline last year. But to the point of what Jaylen Brown and Josh Richardson tried to hammer home is they're close.
Yeah.
They're like a couple things go a different way. They could be sitting there 4-2 or maybe even 5-1. And last night they shot 2 for
Yeah.
26 on 3 pointers. They missed their first 20 of them. Couldn't go down. They didn't drop their first one in. So you make a couple 3 pointers and that game doesn't even get to
Right.
overtime. So yeah, but back to the Wizards and Beal. So just I think kind of I'm not taking him off the market as a free
Mm-hmm.
agent, clearly, because he's got a player option. We know he's going to opt out because that's the only way he can make more money. But what I will say is, I was doing this work this morning. Actually, is we're going to talk about the rookie scale team options that have been picked up. Next year's free agent class is
Yeah.
awful. I mean, it is awful, especially if we take Beal out of the mix, Beal staying with the Wizards. And then if we at all look at, all right, well, Zach Levine may probably going to stay with the Bulls if they're also playing quite well. And if they continue to play well, he's not going anywhere. It is bad, man. It is really, really bad. It's last year didn't look good, and this year is way, way
I
worse.
mean, just means more trades, though. It means teams are going to have to find alternative
Hopefully,
routes in order to improve, and that's going to mean more
yep.
activity on the trade market. But yeah, free agent class not looking
And
good.
it could be more activity at the trade
Yes.
deadline too, because you could have teams saying, "Hey, let's get the jump on this now. If we're going to trade for this guy over the summer, let's get him now and get a couple extra months out of this guy. Whether that's to aid in a playoff push, title push, or just get him here, get him incorporated in our system and go." But yeah, it's with Miles Bridges reportedly turned down 4 years, 60 million. Well done,
Yeah.
Miles Bridges, because I,
He's going to get more
think
than that.
you may be the premier actual free agent left out there, and of course he's restricted, so the Hornets could match anything. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and he's also
so
been really good.
getting a little far afield, a few months ahead on that, but I was just doing a little bit of free agent work, and it tied back to Bradley Beal. So I will now we'll return back to more timely programming.
Well, this is unfortunate news here. Patrick Williams out for the season now with a wrist injury. Some hope that maybe he can make it back for playoff time, but this is a big blow for the Chicago Bulls. He was one of, if not the best defender in their starting five, somebody that they were going to lean on a lot to do a lot of the glue guy type stuff, just dirty work,
Yep.
get in there, play defense, rebound, hustle, do all that stuff. And you have to have that on a team like the Chicago Bulls where you've got scoring, you've got guys who can create, but you need guys who can do all the other things. And Patrick Williams was that. Now he's out. Again, maybe back for the playoffs. Tough blow for the Bulls, though. Looks like the minutes are probably going to go to Javonte Green, who started for the Bulls last night. Keith, how big of a deal is this? Like, how big of a blow is this to the Chicago Bulls over the course of the season?
Yeah, huge, because for all the reasons you mentioned, he's their best defender. Without a doubt, he's somebody who allows them to play DeRozan and Levine together, because then you can get enough defense on the floor with him and Lonzo Ball. But now you're going to have to go a different direction. Javonte Green's a guy who plays very hard. I'm very familiar with him because he started his NBA career with the Celtics, plays very hard. He's a super athlete, but he's just not that big. He's only about 6'4", where Williams is a legit 6'7", 6'8", or so. Green's not a great ball handler. He's a cutter. He's a guy who's going to get stuff off of hustle plays and by running the floor. Derek Jones Jr.
Yes.
I almost said reemerged, but kind of emerged in the rotation. He's barely played early this season, and he kind of got back in there. So I think he probably sees an uptick now, along with maybe Troy Brown Jr. Those two guys I think could be the ones who also benefit from this with Patrick Williams. But this is a Bulls team that their probably Achilles heel is their depth. They really only go about 6 or 7 guys deep, without Williams. So that's pretty tough. Now Kobe White will get back. That'll probably help out some, but we'll see. And they're not a team that's overly well positioned to make trades unless they were to use like Jones's salary as the major matching piece, and maybe Kobe White. You could see put those two guys together, because what's White's future in Chicago with Ball and Caruso there? Maybe that's another guy you could move. But yeah, that's a big major loss for the Bulls, who are, I want to say, I have this right, I think there's like 4 or 5 teams in the East that are 5-1 that have started out. It's the Bulls, the Wizards, the Knicks, and gosh, I'm missing Miami Heat.
I'm looking it up. Knicks, Wizards, Bulls, and Heat are the 4 teams right now that are indeed 5-1.
Yeah.
In the Western Conference, you have the Warriors are the only team that's 5-1.
Yeah, so that's really pretty interesting, right? The way they just they're right there. It's just injuries are a crap part of it, and this one's just really rough.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, especially for such a young player and everything. So hopefully he does heal up, and we do see him back for the playoffs. But again, rough blow for the Chicago Bulls and for Patrick Williams. Another Eastern Conference team, the Toronto Raptors, haven't been seeing very much of Goran Dragic. He's only averaging a little over 15 minutes per game and has gotten a DNP coach's decision in the last 2 games. But according to reports, this has not increased the likelihood of the Raptors buying him out. Usually that's kind of the buzz that starts to circulate. If a player's not getting a lot of minutes, they're a veteran player, buy them out, get them somewhere where they can actually be used. But the Raptors, up to this point, are not interested in doing that. Long way to go, though, up until the buyout market really
Oh
heats
yeah.
up. So we are nowhere near any kind of a deadline or anything like that. But just interesting that right on the heels of him not playing in 2 games, that's the first word out, is that, hey, we're still not considering buying him out right now.
Yeah, and he was replaced. I want to say in maybe the second game of the year. I think it was against Boston. Gary Trent Jr. moved into the starting spot, which that was kind of always what we expected, and that Dragic would be the third guard in that group with Trent and Van Vliet. But then Delano Banton has just kind of come out of nowhere. Second round pick. He's huge. He's 6'9", but he's really playing those backup point guard minutes for this Raptors team. Now we see this a lot. These young guys get a jump. They're out there early. The other teams don't really have a lot of film on them, don't really have a book on them, and then they kind of disappear as the season goes along. So maybe that's how Dragic works out. But I always think back to, right, it was really happy to begin with. It was very clear that he wanted a buyout
Yeah.
the day he got there, and now we'll see. And if he's not going to play, it's funny because I had one friend of mine said, I feel bad for the guy because he can clearly still play, but they just don't want to play him, so they should let him go. And I was like, I do and I don't, because his contract was always set up to do one of two things: either it was going to be declined so that the Heat could create cap space, or he was going to be used as a trade chip.
Yeah.
It was never say he was never going to play for the Heat at $19 million plus this year. It just wasn't going to be a thing. So yeah, so it's something to keep an eye on for a Toronto team that's I think probably performed a little bit better than expected early on. Mostly, man, Scotty Barnes, kid can play.
Yeah,
Good.
he's been very good. And if Dragic does get bought out, he'll have interest from teams around the NBA. The Mavs have long been linked to him, but
Oh yeah,
we'll see what winds up happening here.
anybody who needs a point guard.
Absolutely. We'll see if it winds up happening. But going from an older player to one of the youngest players, Cade Cunningham, #1 pick, made his debut for the Detroit Pistons, and he was excellent. No, he was not. He was not. He was not good in his debut for the Detroit Pistons.
Calling it now.
No.
Terrible. He's awful. Yeah. No, just
Skip, is that you?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
One game
nope,
in.
He's not here. That was my Halloween costume.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we'll say that.
That's a pretty good one.
I would have to say about 1,000 more inflammatory things. And nobody left watching or listening by the end.
All the hot takes.
Yeah, just rough debut.
Yeah.
For him, hey, 2 points on 1 of 8.
Yep.
Was it?
Yep. 1 of 8, 0 of 5 from 3.
Yeah. My big thing with the Pistons is this is not a Cade Cunningham thing, because I think he's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really, really good. Him and Killian Hayes, nah, that's not. I don't think that works. That lineup's just very light on shooting. That's probably what worries me the most. They while they played the starters, kind of struggled against Orlando last night. We're not doing the full recap show today here, but we just want to touch on this one. And then the bench came in and really took control. Corey Joseph and Kelly Olynyk, the Canadian duo there for the Pistons, dominated as they put the Magic away in the fourth quarter. So yeah, it's hey. Cade Cunningham's going to be really good. There's just some weird lineup stuff with the Pistons that's going to, I think, hold them back.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham and Killian Hayes combined 1 for 9 from deep in that one. Tiny sample size, of course, just 1 game. Long way to go for him, but was not a great debut in this one. We've got a bunch of player options that got picked up. None that were very surprising. But Keith, how do you want to run through these? Because there's a handful of them here. We'll just list them off, and then we'll dive into whichever ones are interested.
Yeah, I think we could kind of run through them. Well, maybe what the best thing to do is, so we don't put everybody to sleep, is what it is these are guys from the 2019 and 2020 draft classes. These are their third and fourth year rookie scale options. We've said it before, but worth reminding is these have to be picked up a year in advance. So these are for the 22-23 season. So every rookie scale first round player, the way their contracts are structured is guaranteed year 1, guaranteed year 2, team option year 3, team option year 4, and then restricted free agency in year 5. Or they reach an extension or
Right.
whatever. So with these guys, rather than going through the whole list, I think we can cherry pick a few interesting
Okay.
decisions and go, well, let's start with, just because it's the one I have open on the basketball reference page, is the 2019 class, because this one's a little bit more interesting. So the number 6 overall pick, Jarrett Culver, reporting is will not have his option picked up by the Memphis
Not a
Grizzlies.
surprise.
No real
No.
surprise. Yeah, he struggled. He's not part of the rotation there. He's part of a salary. I hate to call it a salary
Yeah.
dump because it wasn't really that, but a salary moving trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves earlier this offseason. I think the hope was he would have like a Josh Jackson kind of resurgence in Memphis. Maybe it'll still happen, but hasn't yet. But through 98 games, so starting to get towards a decent amount of understanding of whether a guy can play or not. 40% from the field and 28% from three. Just
Not good
not
enough.
good enough. Yeah, no, not going to be good enough at all. Free throw percentage too, only 50%. I mean, very minimal, stuff there. But yeah, so his options aren't going to be picked up. Then we get down to Sekou Doumbouya. We already talked about that. He was bounced around from the Pistons to the Nets, ultimately now with the Lakers
Two-way.
on a two-way. Couple people have asked, what's going on with Chuma Okeke. He was not signed to his rookie scale deal till last year, so he's had his third year option, or he'll have his option rather due next season, because he signed a year behind these guys, or I guess he had his third year, not his fourth year done. So all right, keep moving down the list here. Lucas Imanic was waived by the Spurs. He's now with the Knicks on a two-way. And we get down to Fiondu Kabengele. Waived, traded a couple times. Right now, currently not in the league. I think he's going to be playing with Houston's G League team. Everybody else has been picked up or very likely will be picked up. The only ones that are still outstanding, there's 4 guys for the Celtics: Romeo Langford, Aaron Nesmith, Peyton Pritchard, Grant Williams, Kevin Porter of the Rockets, and then the Phoenix Suns with Jalen Smith and Cam Johnson. The expectation is all of those guys will be picked up. Jalen Smith's the one who there's a little bit of a question on. So let's go to the next class. Everybody from the 2020 draft class has had their options exercised, or very likely will, except for Jalen Smith. We'll see. If not, what a blown pick that was by the Suns, because 2 picks later, Tyrese Halliburton went. So yeah, that was a mistake. And then we could cherry pick a few more names a little bit further down in the draft. And then the only other guy, because again, he only signed this offseason, is Leandro Balmaro, signed a year late. He stayed an extra year overseas. But everybody else, so it's not entirely unheard of for an entire class that to have eligible options picked up in a year. But yeah, if Smith does get picked up, going 29 for 29 of eligible guys, that's not bad. At least it says teams didn't miss all that bad on these picks.
I mean, look, it tells you a good thing about that draft class, tells you good things about the NBA, their scouting and all of that. Jalen Smith, what would that option come in at? I mean, because the Suns have been getting accused of being cheap, and the whole situation with DeAndre Ayton and everything.
No,
I mean, what
you don't.
I know, right? Like that's I know, it's out there. 4.67 million. I mean, in my mind, you've got to pick that up just to give yourself the chance to be right? Just to give yourself a shot at, okay, hey, we didn't blow this pick. Maybe there really is something here. It just takes a little time for bigs to develop sometimes. I'm a little bit surprised that that's not picked up at this point.
So general prevailing thought from folks within the NBA is you do not decline a third year contract option, rookie scale option, unless the player is either hurt or shows no signs of ever being good. Like they just, showed up and they can't, dribble without looking at the ball, or they kick it off their foot, or they just don't care, or whatever.
I'm picturing Stanley from The Office right now.
Right? Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, where he's doing one of these, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And Michael, no, God, no. Why? Or whatever he says. Yeah.
Come on.
I love that episode. Classic episode. But yeah, that's you don't do that. Fourth year, Yeah, all right. If you're thinking you're not going to re-sign the
Hmm.
guy, he's not part of it. That gets a little bit more tenable there. But to decline a third year, you're really owning our. We blew this pick because you've only seen a year and a month
Right.
of the player. So and last year was a weird year. So you're not even you're only just now getting to a full year of having this guy around. So yeah, it can be tough. So let's see what the Suns do.
Yeah.
I have my doubts that they will make the right decision on this one.
Oh,
Although
Suns.
if James Jones is making the decision, I feel a lot better
True.
about it because I think he's done generally a pretty good
Hmm.
job of putting that team together. So, but if there's a mandate from on high,
I
then
mean,
yeah, I'm a
I
little
mean, I
nervous.
understand. Like he's behind JaVale McGee and DeAndre Ayton right now. I mean, he's not the third
Sure.
big, but still, you give yourself a chance to be right with your draft pick and believe in what you saw, even if there's been some rough going early on. But anyway, Keith, is there anything else that we need to get to today before we head off and eat too much candy?
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, if you're a parent, it's your job
That's
is to
right.
check all that
It's
candy and make the kid pay
just quality control.
the candy tax. No, I guess the only thing that's kind of fun right now is this year's rookie class. Boy, it looks good.
Yes. Whew,
Like
Evan
these
Mobley,
guys can
my
play.
goodness.
They are. Yeah, I mean, Evan Mobley's already one of my favorite players in the league. Jalen Suggs is starting to
Hmm.
figure some stuff out. You go further down in the draft, Chris Duarte, looks like he's a guy who's going to be a long-term guy. Davian Mitchell, we've
Yep.
talked about Franz Wagner, Trey Murphy from day one. Yeah, there's a lot of guys who can play in this draft class. So I'm really excited to watch these guys the remainder of it. Let me just because it'll be
Huh?
fun. Who's the lone 2021 first round pick who hasn't played yet?
2021 first round pick who has not
And
played
he's
yet.
not a draft and stash. There weren't any of those
And
this
not a
year.
drafting stash. I'm trying to think, is there somebody who's injured? I mean, Cade Cunningham just made
He
his
is injured.
debut.
Kid Cunningham was number 29 to play.
Oh, I don't
Want
know.
me to give it to
Yeah,
you?
who is it that's hurt right now?
Keon Johnson
Okay,
of the Clippers.
that's who it is.
Yep. He's the only guy who hasn't played yet because Jonathan Kaminga also made his debut last
Okay.
night. He played less fanfare than maybe Cade Cunningham. He only played 6 minutes at the end of a blowout. Interesting thing out of the second round,
Uh-huh.
though, Herb Jones, already 176 minutes over 7 games, playing a lot for the
That is a lot.
Pelicans, starting now. Probably already the Pelicans' best defensive player, too.
Yep.
So just
Now if they
fun early rookie
now if they
stuff,
can just
I
get
guess.
Zion back, that might
Yeah.
help.
We didn't talk about that, Zion. Did you see the clip?
No, I didn't.
No.
I'm
Oh, it was a clip of Zion. It's probably about 10 seconds long. He's doing some shuffle drills back and forth
oh
across the lane. I wouldn't be surprised if people thought it was the late tractor trailer
oh
back out
boy.
there, or as a friend of mine put it on Twitter, I thought Escalade from the
Oh
one
my
next door
goodness.
passed away. He looks pretty big.
Some people were
Uh,
talking about that he had been I've been seeing that
yeah,
going around, people
it's
concerned about how much weight he's put on.
yeah,
That
looks pretty
ooh,
big. It's
uh-oh.
now there's a lot of people also yelling about how he looked like he was really huffing and puffing, and like all he was doing was shuffling. We don't know what he had been doing
Exactly.
before
Yeah.
that, so I don't
That
want
could be
to
the end
beat
of a
up on the guy for
2 hour
that.
workout.
But
Like you don't know.
exactly, exactly. But he's definitely enjoyed maybe a few too many of those Doritos while filming those Mountain Dew
Uh-oh.
commercials.
Well,
Let's just leave it there.
hopefully he's
And now I
able
have the hiccups. I got
to. You got all
worked
fired up about
over
Zion.
over Zion.
Hopefully he's able to come back and play his way into shape. I mean, we've seen it before. Shaq used to do it all the time. So hopefully
Sure.
Zion
Yeah.
can get back in, play his way into shape. Look, if Nikola Jokic can do it, Zion, you can do it
Yep.
too.
And we're not going to sound the Simmons siren, but he is
Mhm.
practicing. He's been there multiple days in a row now.
Might he
So
play? That'll be interesting to watch if he does play in Philadelphia. What does that sound like in the arena? I'm sure
let's
and
see.
we'll hear it
Yep.
from around the country. The boos.
Oh, without
Yep.
a doubt.
All right, everybody. That about wraps things up for our quick hit around the NBA, talking about a lot of the different news that's going on right now. But let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on any of these stories, anything else going on in the league. And make sure you do subscribe to the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on those notifications as well. Till next time, everybody, stay safe out there. Have a very happy Halloween, and see ya.